Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. So nice to be on and chatting with you today. So today's episode, I'm here to talk all about property styling. What is it? Do you need it? The ins and outs, the behind the scenes of what it's all about. Because a lot of people don't really know specifically what property styling is and what it's all about. So I'm here to share my knowledge after styling many properties over the last few years. But let's first of all talk about, what is it? What is property styling? So really, property styling is a marketing tool used in the real estate game to help sell properties by enhancing what they look like, the buyer experience, all about that emotional connection between buying a home, when you walk in, what does it feel like. It is absolutely not the same as interior styling. Living in your home and selling your home are two completely different things. They cannot be far from different. So if you think that when you put your home on the market, it's fine how you live in it, I would probably suggest you take another look because selling your home is really different. On many different scales, but I guess the biggest thing is when you're trying to sell your home, it's not about personal style. Property styling is really about styling for the broad market. It's also about first impressions. So when people are looking online, because that's their first point of call when they look at buying a property, is they're going to look online and they're going to choose what open homes they're going to go to based on what it looks like. So the key thing here is to make sure that it stands out, that it is not offensive, that is not cluttered, that it is going to appeal to a big majority. Because let's face it, once people are at the open home and in front of an agent, that's kind of half the battle. Getting them there is one of the most difficult jobs, and that is part of what property styling helps with. So it's also not about just making a home look pretty. There are a number of different things that a property stylist will do when styling a home. Some of those things are making sure that it looks big, light, and airy, that the photos really capture the essence of the home. So the layout is really important. And it's all about kind of taking the buyer on a journey. Taking the buyer on a journey that is going to evoke emotions that they can picture themselves living in that home. So let's talk about why property styling matters. Well, firstly, it is first impressions. When you step into a potential home that you might want to buy, how does it feel? How does it make you feel? Property styling is always light and airy. It always has a good feeling. Declutter is huge when we're working with sellers trying to get their home ready for market. Pulling back all of those personal touches are really important. But it really helps to help the property stand out in the crowd. So the whole idea of styling a property is to help really catch an eye, but also increase the sale price, reduce the time on market. We really want people to just, fall in love with what they're seeing and really feel that connection and need to buy it. So that's kind of, I guess, the philosophy behind it. So the way it works when you work with a property stylist, we're all slightly different, but I'll share how I work with my clients. Generally speaking, I either am engaged by an agent or the homeowner to get a quote to style a property. Usually it involves me going out on site to see the property. Sometimes, if it's like a tenanted property, I can look at it online. I can view it by photos and a floor plan, and we can create a quote based on that. With quoting, every home is different, so I don't cookie cutter any of my quotes, like this is how much it is for a 4-bedroom home versus this is how much it is for a unit, because every property is so different. So I really like to personalize it down to what is needed for the home. I also don't overstyle my properties. I'm not going to style things that are going to get photographed, don't require it. And there's a few different versions of styling that you can get, when, for me anyway. Like I said, every property stylist is different. For me, I offer a full style, which is like an empty, and we bring everything in. A partial style, which is usually an empty, but we don't style all the spaces. Usually it's all the living spaces and the master bedroom. Then we have integrated, which is usually for those of you who live in your home while you're trying to sell. So we style over the top of what you have. And then there is me just coming out, doing a consultation, giving you direction and a list that you implement yourself. They're kind of the options that I offer in my property styling side of the business. But again, like I said, everyone's different. Once the quote has been accepted, first point of call for me is to go and do furniture selections. Generally speaking, I'll have an idea in my head of what I want to do in the property, and this is usually based around what the actual property is already telling me. So color palette usually is based on what is there in the property. Sometimes it can be a really general palette, and I can kind of go with whatever, but sometimes there's some really obvious things. It's usually based on like kitchen colors, floor colors, wall colors, those kinds of things, is where I start the base of what I'm going to do for the property. But it can also be based on where the property is located, what's the demographic. The agent might have a specific that they want to market towards, so I make sure that my styling is inclusive in supporting that. So we go, I select furniture based on what I've quoted on, come back to the old studio, and I do all my selections of my own pieces. So that's decor, linen, lamps, cushions, art, all those things. I have some rugs and bits of furniture, but not lots. I mostly use a supplier for all the furniture. So once all of that has been selected, the girls pack it up for me. We obviously take it to the property. We meet the truck there. The furniture goes in, and then the fun begins. It's a pretty straightforward kind of process. We try and keep it as stress-free as possible. Most of the agents I work with, we have a pretty good routine of what we want to do, so it works pretty smoothly. Styling usually sits in there for about 6 weeks, which usually takes you to unconditional. And then we pick it up. That's basically the ins and outs of what happens from quoting process all the way to styling, install, and pack up. What else do I want to share? Lots of wins and lots of really interesting stories that I've had through property styling. Some of them that I love that really stand out is clients who have had a property for a long time. I worked with this couple who had their home in Albany Creek for 40 years. the home, I went to visit them. They had lots of different colors on the walls. They were very open to painting everything out quite neutral, which is a really good option for getting your home ready for sale. Originally, they were going to do an integrated style, so move some of the stuff out, but keep like beds and stuff for me to style. And fast forward a month or two, once they got a lot of stuff out and they done all the painting, they had actually decided to just jump all in and go for a full style, which I was really excited about. They had this area downstairs that came off the garage. It was like another living space. They'd always planned to do it as another living space, but they never really got around to it. I have some classic before and after pictures of this one that I've used on my socials a bit. The transformation was amazing. But can I tell you, when the clients came to see what we'd done at the end, honestly, this gentleman was in tears, but like not in a bad way. Good tears, happy tears. His kids came, who are in their 30s and 40s, and just could not get over how different it looked, as in the transformation. They couldn't believe that their home could look like this. And I think part of me, I always kind of prepare clients, especially if they've been in a home a long time, when they opt to do styling. I do like to prepare them that it's going to look and feel really different. And sometimes that's a really hard thing to see. And it can be like a bittersweet thing, because it can be amazing, but it can also be sad because it doesn't feel like your home anymore. And I do really openly talk to a lot of clients about that and prepare them, because it can take them by surprise. And this definitely happened to those clients, but in a good way. Gosh, they were so amazed by it. Needless to say, the property sold really quickly. And I have some epic before and after pictures, which I'll have to share when this episode launches, so that you guys can really see what the transformation was for that one. Another story of property styling. Probably my most difficult property styling project to date was me styling my grandmother's home. I had only known my grandma's home one way my whole entire life. Dark furniture, green and pink color palette. It had always been furniture laid out one way my whole life. My grandma was aging. She had gone into aged care. And we were selling her home, which she didn't really want to do, but she knew she had to. And gosh, it was tough. I really struggled so much to figure out what to do, but I think it was just because I had known it one way for so long. I really had to kind of push all my emotion out of the side and really just put my stylist hat on and be like, right, what do we need to do to get this home to look amazing for selling? Yeah, it was one of my most tricky ones. I was really surprised by the outcome. The transformation, again, amazing. I think I didn't even really think that property could look like that. Key things that we changed other than styling. So yes, the property was empty. We changed out the curtains, and I think that was it, honestly. We changed out the curtains were pink or green, I can't remember. Emptied the furniture out, and then put new neutral curtains up, and then just styling. Again, I'll have to share some before and afters, because truly, truly amazing. And when the agent came to look at the styling before it even went to market, he was like, no, we need to put more on this, because this has just gone next level. So that's like an ultimate for a stylist, but also being my grandmother's home, even better, because I want to obviously get as much money as I can for her to sell her home. But like, that's just what you want. That's what you want to hear. I've had so many stories over the years. I think every home is different. Some homes have their quirks, some are challenging, some just come together like beautifully. I've had some curveballs like bright blue kitchens, red feature walls is always a classic one that pops up. I've had some really interesting challenges, but gosh, I've loved um, every part of it. Let's talk about common misconceptions. So, like, look, there's a few things that I hit up against with property styling. Here's a couple. Some people are like, my home already looks good, I don't need it. And your home can still look good, but it might not be market ready, as in, it may be laid out for you to live in, but not to photograph really well and not to showcase everything as well as possible. So there's always like that one thing, and I think it can be really difficult. Don't get me wrong, property styling has nothing to do with, if I come to a home, I tell people, look, actually, my advice is based on me being a stylist and putting on my, property, like my buyer's hat and thinking as a buyer, what do I need to see and how do I need to engage this? I think you've really got to get yourself out of that headspace of it being your home and let that go. And it might not mean that you need to style everything, but it might mean you need to rethink something. So I would say keep an open mind about that. Another one, most popular one, is too expensive. Absolutely get it. Not everyone has the budget, but here's the thing. If you're going to go on the market, go on the market 100%. So if your agent says to paint, because you need to paint, do your facade, your gardens. There's some basic things, but styling can really up your price point. And you don't want to be wondering how much money you've left on the table when you go to market. And sometimes it's too late if you're already on the market and then you style, because people have already seen it on the market the way it is, and sometimes you can't unsee that. So go on the market the best you possibly can, whether that's with a full style, a partial style, an integrated. Do something. Don't do nothing. Don't do empty. Most importantly, don't do empty. People cannot see what goes where, how to lay it out. They have no emotional connection if it is an empty property. Same goes for virtual styling. When they get there, it's still going to be empty or it's going to be tenanted or whatever, and it's not going to be good. So please just do something. Please, please, please. Another one is, look, people just think, look, I'll just clean and declutter and it'll be fine. There's a little more to it than that. It's about what it's going to look like in photography. Some people don't even want to take away their personalized photos. That is one of the key things, one of the first things I talk to people about doing. The reason behind this is this. When a potential buyer walks through the house, they do not want to be reminded that they are in someone else's home. And guess what photos do? They remind them that they're in someone else's home. So you've got to take all that away. You've got to take all that personalization away. It has to be general enough for them to fall in love with. End of story. So when should you consider styling? Is it for everyone? Here's the thing. Not all homes need to be styled. Your agent might not think that it needs to. It depends on the market sometimes. But have a chat. Let me come and have a look. Let me give you some advice. I won't tell you to style the whole property because the truth is I get just as good a results doing an integrated style as I do a full style. So I don't necessarily believe in going for the most expensive option. it's really a marketing tool. It's to help you get the most money for your home when it's on the market. And that is where my thinking is when I walk through a home. What things do we need to do? I recently actually had a conversation with a lady who wanted to work with me. I had quoted for her. She felt like it was too expensive, which I understand. I explained to her the reasoning behind why I chose how I wanted to style it. And that's really just based on lots of things like giving a potential buyer enough of a feel for the property to come and look at it, and saying when walking through, I can pare things back, but I don't think you'll get the value out of it. So anyway, she went away and thought about it. She looked at some other stylists that were cheaper, but the problem is she didn't really like what they were doing. So she ended up going all in. House is currently on the market. It just went up last week. So stay tuned for that sale. What's next? So what makes styling with me different? Look, every property stylist is different. Some people base it on what they like, which is fair enough. Some people base it on price, also fair enough. And some people base it on results, also fair enough. I think it's personal choice. My thing is always, I'm a property stylist and I don't just style to make it look pretty. I try to tell a story to the buyer. I try to make it appealing enough online to get people interested enough to get to the open home. They're like the key things. And when I go and style, I'm styling based on what's the buyer going to see, how are they going to walk through the home, what do they need to feel. They're all of my key values that I actively do when I'm styling a property for sale. And that varies on how I attack that based on the home. So I also don't cookie cutter any of my styling projects. All of them are selected from scratch. I don't take the project from this home and put it in this home looking exactly the same. Everything is selected specifically for each home by me. I'm always there on site to do installs. It always has my touches on it. I am very involved in talking with the client if they feel that that's what they want. Some happy for the agent to deal with it. I also have very good relationships with my agents. So, look, I just try to be flexible because everyone's different at the end of the day. So, what else do we need to talk about look, I guess I showcase a lot of property styling stuff on my Instagram if you want to have a look at what I'm up to. But look, there's never one day that's the same. There's never one house that's the same. The market goes up, down, and around. We ride the wave. But most importantly, property styling is here for a reason, to help you style your home to help you sell your home for the most possible amount, the best possible amount. And we do that by styling up a store, by creating these spaces that make people fall in love with their new home. At the end of the day, that is the ultimate. That's really the most important thing for me. And 6 years in, I have enjoyed styling so many different homes. I love driving around Brisbane, recalling I drive past homes that I've styled before, and it all comes flooding back. Memories come flooding back on all the different properties that I've styled over the years. So that's a little bit of an insight into property styling. Obviously, if you've got questions, please jump in my chat on my socials or send me an email. I'd love to talk to you more about it. And if you're looking to sell, obviously drop me a line. I'd love to go walk through and talk about how we can style your property as well.